everybody, it's the Last Raider. We are back with another video. And, oh boy. So apparently, WandaVision was more crazier than I had more politics going on behind the scenes than even I thought there was possible. Because as it turns out now, it's being released. Of course, anyone who watched WandaVision, a lot of them sat back and stated, Wanda looked like a villain. And after reading through, I didn't watch WandaVision, I just read through the spoiler reviews and all that. And I was like, wow, so you got this super-powered chick who goes in there, takes control of a town, takes everybody freaking hostage, pretty much, against their will. And somehow she's the good guy when they finally negotiate the hostages' release. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But it gets even worse, because, and that's pretty significant, because like I've said before, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, the iteration of Carol Danvers that right now is the woke Danvers. She has done horrible things. She has killed Tony Stark twice. I think once flat out murdered him. Launched attacks against Thanos when he hadn't really done anything wrong, which ended up in James Rhodes getting killed. She has blatantly just arrested members of the MCU like she's some sort of superpowered cop, and then on top of that created a orbital Guantanamo Bay where she was sticking people. And there was one of the people she captured actually said, "I am an American citizen. I have a Fourth Amendment. I have rights." And she goes, "Not up here, you don't," pretty much. Captain Marvel has not faced consequences for any of that shit. She has not been gone after. Back in original comic books in the 80s, if a superhero had done this, then S.H.I.E.L.D., the Hulkbusters, the U.S., the NATO, SWORD would go full frickin' General Ross on them like they were the Hulk. They would have come after him with a vengeance. They don't do that with Captain Marvel. She's allowed to just abduct people, violate Americans' civil liberties, and just stick them up in Guantanamo Bay. Mind you, for crimes that they were supposed to commit in the future. That, mind you, she's only seeing one part of the future, and she sees one part of the possible outcomes in the multiverse is what she's seeing from a mutant who's giving her these visions. He's only seeing a very small portion of what's possibly going to happen, meaning that these people still have the free will decision to change. All you got to do is just say, hey, to solve it, and she knows this crap. It's not that she doesn't know this. Tony Stark and Professor Xavier have both gone to her and told her this shit. She still doesn't care. Told her on 2 different occasions. She still doesn't care. And she, instead of just going, you could just go up to these people and go, hey, I understand you're going through some stuff, but we saw a future where you end up killing this person. We would really like for you not to do that, so don't make that decision, okay? That's pretty much all you got to do with some of these people. Not only did she run orbital Guantanamo Bay, young Rip is on, not only did she run Guantanamo Bay, but she ran Guantanamo Bay with child soldiers. She recruited superpowered teenagers who were not old enough to be in the military to go out and do her dirty work for her. Acted like a freaking villain. Nobody gave a shit. Wanda, the same thing. And I told people before, this is where the MCU is going. It's going to MCU. It's going to get woke, and it's probably more than likely you're going to see a titan in the industry just go broke. It's hilarious that after Avengers Endgame, which was probably one of the top grossing movies of all time, that is going to be the height of the MCU, and it's now just downhill from here. Because Marvel is hit the point where, they're doing Miss Marvel, they're bringing out, and I saw it as soon as they said, we're bringing out Captain Marvel, I thought, and the end begins. Because once they shoehorned in Captain Marvel, that's when they're going to start bringing in the other woke characters. They're going to bring in the Miles Morales. They're going to bring in Riri Williams. They're going to, God knows what else they're going to do. They're going to make Thorina come along and all this nonsense. They're already doing Black Cap. They've done this stuff before, and all these comics failed miserably. They're not sold. They're not resold. The only people who are buying them are collectors who want those first edition books and want to have all the covers of the book because they stupidly believe those books are going to be worth something, and the people who roast them. But it gets even worse now because apparently during WandaVision, when Wanda was pulling a Captain Marvel here and doing horrendous shit that would make people just look at them and go, "Oh, this is so bad." What ends up happening here is WandaVision apparently cut Doctor Strange from WandaVision to not have Wanda be mansplained by a white guy, apparently. And this is where we're heading, because what would have been really cool, let me also explain this right now. Marvel, the MCU, has done a very good job of recreating the characters and casting the very best person to embody that character. Okay? Robert Downey Jr., when I heard they were doing an Iron Man movie, I was like, oh man, who are they going to get for this? They said, oh, we're going to get Robert Downey Jr. is going to come back and he's going to do the role as Iron Man. And I was like, wait a minute. I've seen Robert Downey Jr. in some shit. He is a Tony Stark. He's literally Tony Stark. Everything but probably the intelligence. He has all the mannerisms of Tony Stark. He just doesn't have the intelligence to make Tony Stark's suit. That's it. But he's an actor. He's just got to act. This would be really good. And they got Chris, both the Chris's, actually all of the Chris's that they've gotten to play Captain America, Thor, Star-Lord, all of them, to play the characters that they've been getting to play. Hulk has been the only real wild card. They've had a couple of them. I hate to be like this, but I think Edward Norton was the best iteration of Hulk, because he's a really thin, sub-superhuman looking, or subhuman strength looking guy who just looked kind of, he wasn't impressive. That's what Bruce Banner was. He wasn't impressive. I kind of don't like the new guy in there because he's got too much of a jawline. He looks too masculine. You kind of needed more of a soyish looking guy to play Bruce Banner. Didn't get that. They always kept bringing in actors who were like rock jawed and everything. I was like, no. Edward Norton, in my opinion, was the best Hulk in my personal opinion. But then, pulling out Tom Holland to play the new Spider-Man. They did good with Tobey Maguire. All the people who played Spider-Man. The people who've played the villains have been amazing as well. And the kicker here has been, especially getting Scarlett Johansson to play Black Widow and getting characters, all the people they've got to play these characters have been amazing. They have picked people who not only look the part, but look like the comic book characters themselves. And they've managed to do this. Mr. Cumberbatch here, because I forgot his first name, playing Doctor Strange. Oh my God! And I say this because not only do they get an actor who can do the acting role, but they also get an individual who, when they put them in the costume, they look like they just walked right out of a freaking comic book. And Mr. Cumberbatch here does look like he should just walk right out of a Doctor Strange comic. He looks like the character. He has the elongated head and face. I know people are getting over this, but like I said, he looks like a mirrored. If you could just take a character from a comic book, pick them out, and just drop them on there and just be an actual real world representation of that character, he looks just like it. But they're going to get rid of him. And as far as I know, people have enjoyed seeing him as Doctor Strange. People loved him as Doctor Strange. He's popular. But we're taking story and shoving it off to the side because we don't want a white guy telling white women what to do. Even though that white woman has a shit ton of hostages and is, well, it's like the theater at one time over in Russia where those terrorists went in there and took it. I mean, and the Spetsnaz dumped all the fentanyl in there. That's what Wanda was. She was the terrorist in that show. And at some point you do, and here's the thing, it's not mansplaining, but these morons up there, they're going to go, oh, this is mansplaining. We don't want a white man mansplaining to a woman. No, it's not. It's called, this guy has been trained better in the art, in the power that Wanda is using, and he can show her how to use it more efficiently. But hey, we're going to avoid that, let Wanda stupidly teach herself, and when everything falls flat on its face, we're going to sit back and say, oh, she's so wonderful, she's so great. They don't even acknowledge the fact that Wanda was the terrorist. Okay, and this is, like I said, this is where Captain Marvel went. We're going to avoid good story, because that would have been a great story, have, Doctor Strange show up, and the two of them join forces against Agatha, and both of them defeat her. And it would have been that moment. That basically what happened here was Kevin Feige and them traded the moment of Captain America lifting Thor's hammer and all of the Marvel universe coming through the portals at Endgame for a political statement that fell flat and didn't do well. And that's where Marvel is going. It's going to stop being about heroes and stories. It's going to be about propaganda and political statements. And it's all going to come from one group of people. It's going to stop being fun. It's going to stop being impressive. It's going to stop being Excelsior. And it's going to be the Church of Woke, where we're going to preach to you how bad you are because of your skin color. Can't use the N-word on the internet, but that's about, can't use the K-word either that the Germans use for Jews. But that's about what we're dealing with. That's what wokeism is. It is true Nazism, because it's based entirely on a person's race. It's not based on their character or the decisions that they've made in their lives. And then this is where Marvel is going. It is going to a form of old school racism where they're going to have to separate everyone out and they're going to make people look stupid. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. You're going to see a point in time in American history after this, unless the world ends between now and then. But you're going to see a point in time where everyone who's not white is going to be scared to call a white man a cracker. It may be 20, it may be 30 years down the line, but after these morons get done abusing people, they're going to look so bad in history that most people are going to, a black man's going to walk up and go, that filthy cracker, and the police are going to come down on him like a hammer for racism. It's going to be considered, there's going to be a point where you can't have a business without hiring at least one white person. That's how bad this is going to get. There's going to be affirmative action for white people before this is over with. People think I'm being stupid about this. Remember, right after before the civil rights movement, nobody thought that Jim Crow law was going to fall. Not until Selma and Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech did anyone even think it was going to happen. It wasn't even possible. There was a point in time in American history where that happened, and affirmative action happened for the black man and many other peoples simply because of the way white people treated them. That's why it happened. You're going to see affirmative action for white people because of the way these woke morons are treating white people right now. And the racism always comes from a minority in the country. It never comes from a vast majority of people. It comes from a minority, and the majority of people stay quiet until finally it gets to a point where they can't stand looking at it anymore and they finally want change. The MCU, however, is going woke, and y'all just need to get ready. As Kevin Feige said in one of the articles I was reading, he said, "Oh, we're gonna go so woke," and I have responded to this the same way. You mean you're gonna go so broke? Because it's not going to be worth any. The MCU is going to go the way of Star Wars after the Rise of Skywalker. You're not even going to be able to sell the shit anymore. You don't believe me? Look at Marvel Comic Books Now. Anyway, folks, be sure to like and comment. That helps the channel out the most. Also, one other thing, because of the Captain Marvel thing, do you guys like the MCU costumes for Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch, or do you like the old school 80s comic versions? Where, you know, they were wearing the leotards and everything else, and, you know, most of the, you know, they were bombastic women, you know. I say bombastic, I'm going to say bodacious should be the best term. Do you like the more 80s bodacious chicks, or do you like these settled down, more puritanical versions of these female characters? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell for notification. Lost my train of thought there. And as always, folks, stay safe, stay frosty. See you guys next video. Bye-bye now.